Just down here at Soldiers Reserve with Andrew Caithness, who's been doing Werribee's Crew Club's 3rd, 4th, 11 ground here.
Yep.
So give us just a rundown how long you've been curating for them and how you got into it.
So yeah, I've been here doing this about, I think this is 5th or 6th year. Took over. Council used to do it, and then they moved on to Churnside Park and put a curator there, and then we needed a curator, and I've been involved with Werribee for a couple of years prior with my son playing cricket here, and I took it over. My background is I started way back in 1979, did an apprenticeship and through the City of Melbourne, and worked on all the wickets in the northern region of the City of Melbourne. So there was, at the time, there was probably 17 or 18 wicket tables. I've been doing that, doing curating at different times. Haven't always done it. I've also got a horticultural trade as well, and so I've worked in Fitzroy Gardens, Carlton Gardens, all the gardens around Melbourne, and
So you got a genuine green thumb then?
Yeah. My mum sort of pushed me that way when I was younger. She loved gardening and that sort of stuff, and but I also loved sport, and turf really interested me. I played a bit of golf as well, so I actually wanted to be a greenkeeper at one stage, but which was lucky with the City of Melbourne apprenticeship. That gave you an opportunity with golf course. They had the Royal Park Golf Course, turf wickets, all sorts of sports fields, of course gardens, nurseries, everything you could think of they had. And as an apprentice, it was absolutely brilliant to come through that system. So
yeah. And so sort of out of those experiences so far, which has sort of been your favourite or most memorable?
To be honest, probably my favourite is actually been building grounds. So I was working for Hume Turf for a number of years, and that's what they did. And they were big projects. And we'd do everything from building the turf wickets to ground, irrigation, all that sort of stuff, everything you can think of. And they were big jobs, and we did it all around Victoria. So a lot of grounds down in Gippsland, a lot of grounds around Melbourne and that sort of stuff, and really enjoyable and good to see from start to finish. So turf wickets, I've enjoyed them all, to be honest. I've worked for some really good councils, really good clubs. I really enjoyed working. I recently finished there, but worked at St Albans, and really love working for that club. The cricketers there were a great bunch of blokes. Everything I asked, they would do, so like covers wise and that sort of stuff. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah. And just moving on from there, so you've come to Werribee, started off here. How was it to begin with?
It was like when I talk to other curators, I always say that when you start on a new wicket table, that sort of stuff, you've got to learn what it's about, what it's doing, how much water it needs, how much rolling, all those sort of things. And it took a little while for me to work out. I was cutting the wickets at first up about 3 mil, and now I've just got into a pattern of cutting them at 5 or 6 mil, because I've just learnt the wicket table and learnt how it plays on weekends and that sort of stuff. I get to watch a lot of the cricket here. And what I'm trying to achieve, and what I've always tried to achieve on wickets, is try and get a balance between bat and ball. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a challenge at first. We do have challenges with thatch in these tables because they get sodded every year, and you can sort of see with the far wicket there that's the one that we used first off this year, and that was oversown. It wasn't sodded.
Yep.
And you can see how well that's come back.
Yeah,
with the Santa Ana cooch coming through.
Yeah,
admittedly, this year has been one of the best years we've had for a long while in regards to weather, and it's really helped the cooch. But look, we've council put the sods down. They do a little bit of scarifying and then leave it up to us to work out. And again, equipment-wise, we don't have a dethatching mower, but we've now purchased one, me and my son, and it's just a little Werribee battery-powered one, but it's doing the job. So, we're quite happy with that, but we have to go over the wickets a lot to get a lot of the thatch out and try and take some of that sponginess out. So, yeah.
Easy. And then, so sort of just to bounce back to early in your career, so as you said, you've learnt sort of the 3 mil out to sort of 6 mil. I think that's sort of becoming a thing across the board. Then necessarily shorter doesn't make it better or more playable. And obviously you probably get better recovery. Is there anything else sort of in your time that you've seen that's changed up, that's made it easier for you as a curator, or
I don't look. To be honest, I don't think so. One of the things that gets done, and I'm not a real fan of this, is having drainage put under tables. I don't understand that particularly with the black soil, because what you're trying to do is draw the moisture out, not let it go through. And I'm sort of seeing wicket tables that have drainage underneath them tend to dry out quicker and play lower and slower. Now, whether that's scientifically factual, I don't know, but I just seem to think that that's what happens. Here we have, I'm not sure, they did redo this wicket. It was a Portland wicket before I took it over. Council, because they couldn't get Portland soil, they changed it over. I'm not sure whether there's drainage underneath this one, but it does dry pretty quickly, but also the outfield's sand base as well. And to me it's a pretty easy wicket to work on. So I don't have too many issues with it apart from the thatch. But other than that, look, I think the major thing for cricket wickets is been sodding. It's helped a lot of clubs and associations get wickets up quicker and get a better surface on them. So that would be, in my time, probably the biggest single.
Definitely the wash sod has helped.
I can tell you a bit of a story about that too. That I reckon it was Frank Brew from Carlton. I don't know whether you know Frank, but Frank was a long-time curator at Carlton, and it was back in the would have been late 70s, early 80s, and we went in to see him about something else because we had nothing to do with the main ground at Princess Park. And Frank had got hold of sods, and at that time they weren't wash sods. And so what he did is he had them out underneath the grandstand, washed them out, and put them out on one of the wickets, and then got the roller out and pushed him in. And we asked him, we said, how come you're doing this? He goes, I've got to get a wicket up next week. But because Carlton were always playing in finals and that sort of stuff, he had to get wickets up for Premier cricket, or district cricket as it was then. And he said, this is what we're going to try. And I reckon he might have been the first one to ever try it. And it worked.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether there was, people that sort of got on to Frank about that, or whether there was other people doing it. But that was probably the first time that I ever saw it done. So,
and have you had any experiences like that yourself, where you've just gone, I've got to get a wicket up, this is what I've got to do something a bit?
Look, you'll you sort of tend to do anything you can to try and get wickets up. To be honest, like over the years, I've learned, watch the weather. If you and I'm talking about from the end of the game the previous week to the next week, and that way you can get covers down, single cover down. You can do all those sort of things that you can try and get a wicket up. It's pretty rare that we don't get wickets up here, and as a general rule, it'll always be because there's too much water laying on the outfield.
Yeah, it does. Looks like it's got a good crown on it, but nothing will sit.
It's got a good crown. It drains. It does drain towards the pavilion, so it would get a bit more moisture down that end. But again, we don't really have too many problems. But yeah, I tell all curators that, young curators, keep an eye on the weather and make sure you plan your work around that. And if you do that, most weeks you'll have no problem, apart from obviously if it's going to be really bad on the weekend and you can't get on anyway. But yeah, and you're still trying to, regardless, we're still trying to get wickets up Friday night, even though we know it's going to piss down on Saturday. You just never know.
Yeah, had a few of them. I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago. Had a full month washed out basically. So you're looking at the weather Sunday night. You're planning a week. How do you start a wicket normally, and when you start it?
Water's the most crucial thing on a wicket. Try and get as much water into the table itself early in the week. So council do put on water for us. We've got an automatic system around. They put it on one night, which is usually the Sunday night. We did have a lot of issues with the manual system, the hose system, but that's been upgraded now so I've actually got water. So it was taking us, like even just to hand water a wicket, it was taking over 2 hours just to flood it. And now we don't have that problem, and now we can put a sprinkler out, impact sprinkler out and flood it. So Lockie's been doing that. So yeah, just getting plenty of water into it early in the week, looking to try and cross roll Tuesday night, Tuesday afternoon, whichever way it needs or how many times it needs. And then just slowly build up the rolling. Depending on the wickets, we try and start the wickets 12 days out. So, and that just means giving it a roll, a new wicket a roll, not necessarily cutting it, but just giving it a roll just to get a base into it. And then keep working away at it like that. Minimum rolling 6 hours at least. If you can get some more into it, it does depend. Some wickets, you don't need as much. Some do. But yeah, so then slowly cut it down. So Lockie cut this yesterday at 5mm, and I cut it again today. Didn't take much off. We'll cut it again in the morning at the same height. It probably won't take much off, and then we'll give it some more rolling tomorrow.
Nice. Beautiful. And you're mentioning Lockie, a young apprentice, your son. How did he get into it? Did you push him into it, or did he choose to do it?
Definitely didn't push him into it. He's chosen to do it. He was doing a horticultural apprenticeship as well, so very, very much on the same line as me. But he's since changed over to a turf apprenticeship, so he's not long off finishing that. But yeah, he's always shown a bit of an interest. He's been on the roller with me when he was younger, and I think he just shows a passion for it. He's got his own little gardening business as well, and he works at Hobson's Bay City Council. So he's doing Altana's wicket. Sometimes he does Williamstown's wicket as well, and he helps out here. So
busy man.
He is. And he's got a girlfriend as well, so he's got to sort that out as well. But yeah, he loves everything that he's doing and shows a real passion for it. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, you've both been really long-time contributors to the Perfect Pitch, so I've been pretty appreciative of that.
Yep.
just in terms of the ground, you just mentioned some of your challenges you just had over years. Is there anything else you know, generally sort of smaller towns seem to get a little bit of vandalism or things like that happening? Do you get any issues here like that, or do you have any dog problems?
We do. Like, I mean, I've always worked in parks and gardens or on sports fields and that sort of stuff, so I see everything. I've seen everything. But as a general rule, this is one of the better grounds that I've ever worked on. I get on really well with the dog owners. I sort of make it a point to talk to them and that sort of stuff. It's not a dog off leash area. The dogs are supposed to be on leash, but personally I don't really care as long as the dogs behave themselves and that sort of stuff. I've seen a few things go on, and most dog owners are really respectful of what they've got and pick up after themselves and that sort of stuff. But there are a couple that refuse to do it, and I'm not happy about that. So particularly that when we've got to play sport, we've got to go around and pick up after them. Other than that, we don't get a lot of vandalism. We do get footy boots over the wicket table at times, but we've been really harsh with the footy club now in regards to their training and that sort of stuff. They generally at training they're pretty good, but they don't realise it only takes one bloke to run down the middle of a wicket that you're making, and then it's causing all sorts of problems, and we've had that in the past. We get soccer groups down here, footy boots, and it only takes a few days and they make a terrible mess in certain areas, but we don't have any control over the outfield. Council does. We just notify council over those sort of issues, but we get a little bit of graffiti and that sort of stuff, but generally speaking, if we report it straight away, it gets cleaned up. And I think a lot of the people around this area really appreciate what's here. So
it's a beautiful little ground.
Yeah.
In terms of the machinery and all that, you had any issues, or you're going pretty strong? You got all the stuff you need. You're saying Werribee, yeah.
Look, apart from a dethatching mower, which we've spoken about at club level for a few years, but it's hard to justify getting a new one. But it's something that we'll probably plan for in the future because it'll be so helpful. But no, we've got our Mente roller, which has been going good. Although I must admit, Lachlan put diesel in it, but it wasn't his fault. It was my fault. I got diesel in one of the drums. That was a few weeks ago, and we had to drain it out, and we had no problems. It just took half an hour or so, and that sort of stuff. But we've got a smooth cut cylinder mower. Melton Bowls and Golf look after us really well with servicing. Same with Mente with the roller. Other than that, we've got pretty much all we need. Full covers, single cover, Hessian. Yeah, we're not wanting for much. So yeah.
Nice. And you're sort of mentioning the sort of Lockie starting to take over here a bit and doing a bit more of a work and so on. So you're looking to hang up the boots a bit, or are you just?
No, I don't want to. I always envisage myself to be one of those little old blokes that gets in the shed, pulls out the roller, doing that sort of stuff for as long as he possibly can. And I'll attempt to do that. It's up to Lachlan how much he wants to do, but I know that clubs are screaming out for curators all the time, and if he wants to do other wickets, he will. But he's playing here. He comes down, before training and that sort of stuff, straight from work. And I'm quite happy for him to help as much as he does. So it does make a difference for me. So yeah.
Easy. And just sort of round it up or finish off. Got any advice for people looking to get into the industry, or anything you could see that could help potentially get people into the industry? Maybe, as you're saying, where we don't necessarily have the turfies coming out.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's concerned me for a long time, like when I was a young fella, there was apprenticeships everywhere. And now there doesn't seem to be as much apprenticeships being taken up. Now, I think, from government level, they need to look at that sort of thing, get people into this industry from a young age, because it's really rewarding. I know the pay's not fantastic across the board, but it is a really rewarding industry, and you can branch out in lots of different ways. For young guys, I know like Matty Grubb down the road at Churnside, he's doing the wicket down there for the first time this year, and he seems to have the passion for doing turf wickets. He's a good cricketer himself. So young blokes getting into it, just have a crack. If you're at your local club, if you've got a curator there, go and ask, go and learn some stuff. There's a lot of intricacies to making turf wickets. I don't find them that hard to do, but that's experience. It takes experience to find out what you need to do about turf wickets. There are some basics like water and cutting and rolling and that sort of stuff, feeding, that you need to learn about. And it's not just as simple as just getting on a roller and just going up and down all day. So you've got to learn all of those sort of things. But I definitely encourage young guys to have a crack, and cricketers from clubs, and even older cricketers too, if they if they think, I want to have a bit of a crack at this, get into it. No clubs are screaming out for people. So yeah.
No worries. It's all good advice, and I think getting more apprentices happening, and even getting more involved with cricket clubs to actually see if they've got people who want to get involved is a good option. I think one thing people don't sort of sell is generally you're your own boss with curating, so it's up to you to do a good job and how far you want to go with making good wickets and so on as well. So great points. Just to finish up, have you got anything else you want to mention, or any other experiences that you could share with us?
No, what I would like to say is thank you, John, for getting that side up, because I think it's absolutely brilliant. It gives people a forum to talk about turf wickets and help each other. Only so many years ago, you'd ring up someone that you knew and ask, but with this site, now you can get on there, ask the question, and you get answers straight away. And you learn little things all the time. So I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm still learning stuff, and I'll continue to learn stuff. So having these sort of sites, and you administering it, and giving your time up to do this, you gave your time up to fight the traffic to come out here today, and have a look what we do out here. That's just sensational. So
thank you.
I really appreciate it. I know a lot of other people that really appreciate it too. So yeah.
No worries. Thanks very much.
No worries.
No worries, Andrew. Thanks for having me, and
no problem, mate.
All the best for the rest of the season.
No worries. Thanks.